our next presentation. All right. Our next presentation is by Sam Meacham, Julian Fortin, Weatherby Dorsho, Christophe Lemeo, and Fred DeVos, entitled From Underwater Cave Survey in Yucatan, Mexico to Geographical Information System, Concrete Case Study and Replicable Workflow Linking Data Acquisition to Scientific Data Exploitation. And I should mention, I won't keep a timer, so I'll just sort of keep an eye on my watch, and then we'll view dive signals. 5, 2. Anyone can call any presentation at any time for any reason. So,
Nice.
So we're all set. All right, Sam.
Great. Thank you, Dominique. And thank you all for coming on the last day, early in the morning on Sunday, to be here with us. So for many of you, you might imagine that the actual act of cave diving and doing research in these caves is the most difficult thing that we have to do and the most challenging thing that we have to do. But from our perspective, the real challenge is in data management. And in many ways, thanks to the pandemic and somewhat being confined to quarters for the last 2 years, we've really been able to focus a lot on our data management processes. So I represent SINDAC. I'm here with my colleagues Julien and Christophe today. And really our main focus is to facilitate the research of what is otherwise a very challenging environment to work in, the underground rivers and cenotes of the Yucatan Peninsula. We have over 20 years of continuing collaboration with the Subdirección. And just last year, SINDAC became one of, I think, around 15 NGOs accredited by the UNESCO Convention for Underwater Cultural Heritage, which we're extremely proud of having achieved that. We're not very good in terms of social media, but if you're interested in learning more about what we do, we have videos on YouTube, our website, and they're good sources of information in terms of what we do. So, as Elena's presentation said, the Yucatan Peninsula, it's the most important thing to realize is it's an enormous limestone platform covering, the platform itself covers about 250,000 square kilometers. Today it's much reduced due to sea level rise. And these numbers continually are changing. Cave diving exploration of this region began really in earnest in the 1980s. And as of today, there's 407 underwater caves and cave systems, and probably closer to 2,000 kilometers of registered surveyed cave passageway within them. So, and as I think we all understand and know, there are these incredible time capsules of information going back into prehistory and to the Maya era and colonial period. So we, as the cave divers, are really at the front lines of helping scientists access this environment, and we're the eyes and the hands of them. And so we're really in the business of data collection. And our principal task is measuring and putting into spatial context these cave systems. And so we have a very delineated standard operating procedures basically for doing just that. And it starts with a survey of the line, the lifeline that we put into the caves. We now have a semi-automated gizmo called a NEMO that helps us do that quite accurately. We also take left, right, up, down measurements of the sidewalls, ceiling to floor distances to get volumetric measurements of the cave. And really, the cave is so much a part of the story of Hoyo Negro, the mine, any of these sites, especially in prehistory. People were traveling into them, and so we have to put that into context, right? We then digitize these things, go back underwater with slates, and we sketch the features of the cave and place the paleontological, archaeological remains within that context. And then all of that is digitized, and what is produced is a map. And what I wanted to use as an example is our map of the prehistoric ochre mine that we found in 2017, and pretty much everybody on this panel today collaborated in the study of this incredible site. And this is really the end result and kind of the best way we can represent these systems. The map is the foundation of everything that we do. And in this case, the majority of the mining activity was concentrated in here. And again, this is one of the entrances. To get back to here, we have to travel about 700 meters through a flooded cave, through a fairly substantial restriction or narrowing of the cave passageway here, to get in here to begin to do the work that we do. So the map is really the ultimate product of what we're doing. And just to give you an idea of the work that it took to create that map, there's about 8,855 meters of cave, and it took 19 divers approximately 100 dives, 600 hours of accumulative dive time, and about 50 hours on the computer to do all the work to produce that map. So it is very labor intensive, of course, but we love what we do. So it's not that hard to do it. In addition to the map, we also are documenting. So we're using drones and we're capturing data on the surface conditions. We're doing photogrammetric models. We, in the case of the mine, took in a 360 high resolution camera, which on our YouTube site, if you have VR goggles, you can virtually fly through the cave with us. And of course, we do photographs and video documentation, and all of that means that we're just creating a mountain of data. And the conundrum has always been, over 25 plus years of doing this, is that all of that data ends up on different hard drives, different computers. It's not centralized. It's very difficult to access. And the question that comes back to us is, why are we doing this if we can't share it? And so 2 years ago, as the pandemic began, we began to really think through all of our processes of how we're dealing with our data. And in the case of Sagittario, you can see here, we created over 70,000 individual files, 576 folders, and 1.4 terabytes of data. And that's just one of our projects. And that's actually a relatively small project compared to many of the others that we are involved in. So, our first order of business was creating a database infrastructure to put all of that data into. So, the hardware architecture is all mapped out here, and Julian is, if anybody has any questions on this, please direct them to him afterwards. And you can see the touch of a cave diver here. We have line markers pointing in the direction of flow of the information. And so we have a very comprehensive data infrastructure to store all of our data in our office, backed up to Dropbox. We have shareable links now. And then what we had to also do is determine how we're going to organize all of that information. And for us, what made the most sense was to geographically represent it. And so that's what we did. And so we have a very comprehensive by country, state, area, cave system, cave entrance, and then within each cave entrance, different folders for the different types of data that we're collecting. So one thing I should say is that this is still very much a work in progress, and so we are unfortunately burdened with the task of going back through 20 years of data and putting it all into the right bucket, right? So, but anybody who's willing to start doing this can benefit. We are more than happy to share all of this information with anybody if it's of use to you. So, the next portion was parallel to this, how do we spatially represent everything? And so on the side, we also contracted my dear friend Weatherby Dorshow, who is a GIS expert. I have a background in GIS, but nowhere near his. And basically what we developed was a comprehensive geographic information system that the end goal is to marry it with our database, right? And that's kind of where we've got those two parallel systems working quite well now, and now we're in the process of joining them. So there are 5 steps. We have to acquire the data in the field. We have to import and digitize that data. We have to pre-process and clean up the data, process it, and then we can share it, right? So each of those steps, and I've kind of touched on some of it, and all we're talking about is the cave survey data right now. We're gathering the information in the cave. This is the NEMO, our semi-automated device that allows us to take the measurements on the line. And it's basic Cartesian cartography. Every station point where the line is tied off is a survey station, and we just go along the line and measure it. So the NEMO does that. If we're doing a full-scale map, we'll do the up, right, left, down measurements. We can take samples, which we do for Ed or Jim or Dominique or anybody that we're working with. And then there's all the additional documentation. We can tie all of this into unique stations in the survey data. So then all of our data goes from the NEMO into survey software, and the NEMO and this survey software, Arion, was developed by Sebastian Kister, who's a Frenchman and cave diver that lives in our area. And it's specialized for cave, both wet and dry. And really it's the bridge between our data collection and then the export and import of it into GIS. So this is where we can quite quickly update the map as we go along with all of our survey comments. That digitizes it, and then we import it into our GIS. And so working with Weatherby and Sebastian, we developed an export tool that allows us to take a KMZ file, basically, that is structured in the exact way that ArcGIS likes to see it. And then that gets put into our GIS. And we have what Weatherby is named Smart Cave Manager. It's our dashboard. So we have different elements. We're using ArcGIS, and we are using, to the full extent, all of the wonderful tools that come with ArcGIS. Not only the desktop application, but web application, plus all of the apps that come along, ArcGIS Explorer, Field Collector, and Survey 123. So we have forms for paleontological observations that we custom developed with Jim. We find something underwater, we can place it within the cave environment, we can have links to our database, to the Sketchfab models, the VisCore models, the main database folder that we have for that particular site. Jim just clicks on a map, and spatially represented is that whole database. So tying everything into space is extremely important, and even more important, and this is where we're really just starting to get going, is being able to disseminate that information as well. And paleontology, archaeology is just one facet of what we do. We work with biologists, hydrologists, geologists in a variety of different projects here. So basically just wanted to close, kind of giving a little bit of perspective here. This is a full view of our dashboard, and this is the Oshbelha cave system. This is Tulum here, and Oshbelha now, remember Sagittario was about 8,800 meters of cave passageway. As of today, Oshbelha, which we began to explore in the mid-90s, now is topping 400,000 meters of surveyed cave passageway. And starting in 2018, we started with a somewhat preposterous notion of going back and resurveying the entire cave. And so basically what you see in this pie chart here represented is a graphic of our progress in doing so. Everything you see in orange here is our original cave survey data. Everything in yellow is what we have gone back and resurveyed so far, and everything in green is the resulting new exploration that we have achieved by going back with better technology, more experience, better tools, and being able to investigate and find more things. So as a result, we've resurveyed about 175,000 meters, we've explored over 100,000 meters, and we've kind of crossed the hump. We have less to resurvey now than we started with. We have about only 123,000 meters left to go. And of course, as we do this, we're finding more archaeological, paleontological deposits, and we're much better now able to, again, tie all of that data in. So it's really exciting, and at least it's exciting for me. And I know Julian's very excited by it. And none of this happens without the incredible support that we receive from individuals, foundations. Yes, Tequila Patron helps us out, and it really is an incredible collaboration, not only in our donors and sponsors, but also in the collaboration that we have with the different institutions, universities, and organizations that we have the good fortune to work with, and whom you will hear from after me. So thank you so much. And I know we're at the last day, but if you go, you can contact us. Probably the easiest thing is through our website, syndac.org, which is about to get a nice facelift. And if you're interested, the YouTube channel has some good information on it and interesting things for you to look at. So feel free to ask us. Again, direct any questions in terms of technology towards Julian. And if you're around, actually I didn't bring you have your laptop, right? If anybody's interested in a live demo afterwards of the GIS, we can pull that up for you. Thank you. Who's next? Ed. You're next. No, Ed's next. Just click that off.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Our next presentation